Good evening, everyone. Today I'll be reviewing Parfums de Marly's Greenley. The light behind is meant to be green, but looks a bit blue. Anyway, as you can see, I've put in a really considerable dent into this. This is probably the first really expensive perfume that I bought. Must be bordering on 2 years now that I've had this, and hence the dent. And I'm doing a bit of a rich Mitch where I'm reviewing this because I've sold it. Now, don't jump to conclusions. It doesn't mean that it's a bad perfume. I'll explain the reasons why I'm moving this one on. But let's get into it. We'll talk about what it smells like, its performance, whether there's any better alternatives out there, and we will be touching on, for the first time on the channel, a Middle Eastern clone. This is Aether Extrait by French Avenue. We'll be going through whether they're similar or not and talk about whether this is good value for money for a freshy fragrance. So I'll tell you guys how I got into Greenley. It was summertime and I bought a PDM discovery set. I gave them all a sniff. This was by far the most unique of all of them and was really a love at first sniff for me because of the green apple. At that time, it was the first green apple accord that I ever smelled in a perfume. And personally, I'm very much pro green apple in all aspects of life, especially synthetic aspects. When it comes to soft drinks, I love a Fanta green apple. When it comes to sweets or candies, as Americans call them, the fruit ones, they have different colors. I always go for the green, which is usually green apple. It's heartbreak when it's like lime, something irrelevant. So it was a perfect storm for me to absolutely fall in love with this. I was quite new to the game, so I went out and bought it from a semi-discounter in the middle of summer. So it was just slightly below retail, but over 200 for this one. And that is one of the reasons why I'm passing this one on, to be honest with you. Let me give it another fresh spray. The atomizer is pretty good. The bottle is absolutely top quality. The lid is incredibly heavy. It is very thick glass. It feels really luxurious. So fair play to PDM for making these great bottles. Now, when it comes to the scent profile, it's quite unique because of the green apple opening. It smells like Head and Shoulders green apple shampoo, but a lot better. Okay, it's not just straight shampoo. As you can tell, I don't really use that shampoo anymore. Maybe it's giving me nostalgia to days when I had hair. I need to think about that. So Greenley is got this green apple opening. It's wonderful. Now, why I gravitated towards this in comparison to all other summer freshies is that not only did it have the uniqueness in the green apple, but also the base had this kind of mossy effect. They use cashmere, they use amberwoods, and they use some kind of synthetic oak moss, but they're actually quite well done. The amberwoods are not annoying or cloying or too sweet. There is a bit of sweetness there for sure to make it mass appealing, but it's just not that sweet. The amberwoods give a bit of a cedary effect, that kind of pencil shaving or like sawdust kind of effect. But to be honest with you, I don't get that much natural woodiness. I mainly get the mossy kind of natural feeling base. It's obviously not that natural, but I feel like the moss and the green apple go hand in hand to the point where by association you think the green apple is there, but all you're smelling is the cashmere and the moss working together to give you that effect. I feel like cashmere has that kind of green apple-y kind of vibe out of all the synthetic woods that I've smelled. So it was a great choice in here, but it's not overdone. They really worked well to let the green apple be the star of the show, in my humble opinion. Now, when it comes to green apple perfumes, I have experienced a few more with a green apple note, namely Overture Woman, which is very intense, kind of apple brandy kind of scent, a bit too strong for me personally. And the other one is Promise by Frederic Malle, which is like a green apple. It's almost the same green apple as this. The accord they made is very similar, but that one just has that cypriol in the back to give it, and some animalics to give it that real mature and kind of oody scent profile. And the performance of that one is huge. We're talking probably one of the best performing perfumes that I've ever had the experience of smelling. That's more of a wintertime green apple. It smells a bit more like an apple shisha, if you like, or hookah if you're American, I guess. Now, as soon as I smelt Frederic Malpromis, I kind of was done with Greenley because I had my green apple fix. As I said, I'm a huge green apple fanatic, and I found my fix. Now, if I want a synthetic green apple to remind me of my childhood, I go for Frederic Malpromis. It scratches that itch for me. And another reason why I'm passing up on PDM Greenley is the performance. Now, in terms of projection, it's never strong. Even from the opening, it's just never strong. It's more of a, it's like medium to begin with, and it becomes quite soft after a few hours. You have to really get close to smell it. It does linger on as a skin scent for about 7, maybe 8 hours. And mainly you're left with that synthetic moss, to be honest with you. PDM Greenley was in the limelight maybe last summer. It got really popular, and now it's not really that popular anymore. It's been replaced in Fracon by Louis Vuitton Imagination, etc. And at the end of last summer, a clone came out by French Avenue called Aether Extrait. Now, why did I get my hands on Aether Extrait, especially when I have the real deal? You might be wondering. I decided I was going to sell this, and my wife really loves it. She was really upset, so I agreed with her. I'll get the clone, so you can spray that when you want, and I can recuperate some of the money that I have tied down in this bottle. The performance is one of the main reasons. With that money that's tied in this bottle, I can get a lot more better fragrances for the money. So that's my problem with Greenley. Now, when it comes to Aether Extrait, obviously it's a Middle Eastern clone. Okay, I don't have many Middle Eastern clones, to be honest with you. This is the only, no, this is the second Middle Eastern clone that I have. I also have Club de Nuit Intense Man Limited Edition, which is a take on obviously Creed Aventus, and it's for similar reasons. My wife loves it, but I can't afford to keep these £200 bottles around for something that I don't really enjoy that much. So whenever she wants to smell these, I'll just whip these ones out. They do the trick. Now, when it comes to Aether Extrait versus PDM Greenley, let's talk about it. Now, this Middle Eastern clone cost under, I think when I bought it, it was like 17 British pounds, which is ludicrously cheap, really, for 100 ml of this Extrait. I'll take the Extrait thing very loosely. Now, the bottle is pretty heavy, actually. It's pretty decent quality. I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetic. The name doesn't really mean anything to me. Now, the atomizer of this one is quite something. I'll just spray it on here for you guys. I mean, come on. It's amazing. It's way above average. And can we have a conversation about atomizers? I know it seems like it's quite silly, but if these guys are selling this bottle for £18, Tom Ford, shame on you. Andy Tower, come on, man, improve the atomizers. Amouage, come on, up the atomizers a little bit. If these guys can afford it, I don't understand. And it doesn't have to be pressurized for us to be wowed by it. Just be good. They've also, when it comes to the presentation, this came in a designer box that was irrelevant, just like a Dior box, really. You just piece of cardboard, nothing interesting, straight to the bin. This comes in this huge box with felt lining, and it does make you think, if these guys have spent all of this money on the packaging, how much did this juice cost? Because that packaging must have cost at least £3-4 to make. The PDM packaging probably costs less. Why is the price difference so huge? That's a question you have to ask. When it comes to the scent profile, it's quite similar. The clone is sweeter. The green apple doesn't hang around as much. And at the moment, in its unmacerated state, because it's pretty new, it's like a week old, so I've got this in, it doesn't last as long. This is about 6 hours. This is about 4 hours. Supposedly, in a month, this will become the same or overtake. Either way, I'm not that interested in the performance. Both performances suck. That's just a fact. The Aether Extrait, the base is where it differs. The green apple is almost the same. The base here is a bit more synthetic. There's less mossy, more amberwoody, and more sweet, like it has some kind of vanilla in it. I'm pretty sure this has vanilla in it too. But the dry down is where you can really tell the difference. But to be honest with you, by the time you're in the dry down, the scent is not giving you much performance anyway. And even when you just stuff your nose into your skin to smell Greenley, it's really the least impressive dry down possible. I would say they're about 95% the same. Do I condone buying the Middle Eastern clone? Now, the clone conversation is quite an interesting one. Everyone seems to have an opinion. Now, I think clones are good and bad, obviously, in the industry. Obviously, they are stealing the ideas and making them one to one. And I think that's where it becomes a bit of a problem. I'm very happy to have cheap scents, okay? Matter of fact, make all scents as cheap as possible. Don't make the scent smell bad or be worse quality. Like, just cut the margins a bit, let us spend less. I'm all for spending less, okay? The less money spent, the better on this hobby, in my opinion, because it is a luxury at the end of the day. You don't really need any of these. Now, my problem is when obviously you have these copies and it's like a straight direct copy. If you're inspired by something that's popular and you make a inspired by scent, but you give it your own twist and give it your own direction, no problem with that whatsoever. But it's one of those things where personally, when it comes to, let's say, clothes or shoes or bags or phones, now I'm not a materialistic person whatsoever. I'm not a logo kind of guy. But whilst I could go and buy a £200 copy of a Rolex and it's 95% of the way there, only when you look at the back of the case or analyze it deeply or you look at the minor details, you can spot that 5% difference. Similarly to these, when you get your nose straight in there, you can tell the difference. But for the general population and for yourself, for the most part in the air, you really can't tell a difference whatsoever. Now, I could do that, okay? But I would feel like I'm cheating myself because I'm getting something that's inferior and I'm lying to myself about what I have. I would much rather get a cheap watch like this one here, Orient. It's costs pretty much the same as a fake. I don't think any watch is super original. Let's be honest. They all have the same designs, but what they do have is it's its own thing. It's trying to be its own thing, and it's not pretending to be something that it isn't. I much prefer the clones that kind of take a DNA that's popular and liked by people and work their way to make it something new and something that is their own with their own twist on it. Because guess what? That's what it's all about. Designers do it, niche brands do it. No idea is original. So even Louis Vuitton Imagination, you guys might smell it and think this is absolutely incredible. But really, they took a bit of Gucci Pour Homme 2's idea of a summertime tea. But mainly, I would say they were more inspired by L'Homme Ideal by Guerlain, but L'Homme Ideal Cologne, which is now discontinued. When I smell those, they're quite similar. Review on Imagination and its inspirations will be out very soon. Now, another bias when it comes to the clone conversation is that I'm very biased towards who's being cloned. So if Louis Vuitton are being cloned, I struggle to find sympathy for them because I know that the kind of brand they are, and LVMH, the owners, and the kind of business they run, I don't align myself with it. So I don't feel bad for them. It's like robbing the rich but if you made a clone of Andy Towers' work, I'll be very upset about that. I'll be like, how dare you? This man is making his perfumes in his basement and you're stealing his work. So it's one of those. Where do you guys stand on it? Another point to discuss is spending a lot of money on freshies. I think freshies usually are worth spending more money on than others. Freshies tend to be quite basic and bare bones, so there's no place to hide. The cheap wintry scents, there's a lot of affordable ones that are really good and really top quality. So for example, if you're spraying The Moon by Frédéric Malle versus Fidelis by Histoire de Parfum, you can have that for £60. It does not smell like £60 fragrance. It smells like £160 fragrance. With the cheapy freshies, they really do show there's no place to hide, you know what I mean? I think maybe it's due to naturals. It costs a bit more to make something high quality when it comes to the freshies. You need more natural citruses, natural flowers, these kind of lighter ingredients. If you want to use real ambergris, it would completely transform your fresh scent. Whilst if you can just throw a oud, patchouli, leathery accord in a cheapie, it can hide a lot of the flaws. So I think generally spending more on freshies is something that I think I recommend and would do more of. It's just I wouldn't do it for this one because it's simply not worth the price because of the poor performance. And it doesn't have the wow factor, in my humble opinion, anymore anyway. I've fallen out of love with it. It's still a fantastic freshie. It's still super mass appealing. It's still quite unique. And actually, because it's fallen out of style in social media and fragcom, it'll still be quite unique for some time because after this clone, like no one really cares about green apple anymore. Everyone is now trying to copy imagination instead. If you want something that's unique and most people are not going to smell like it, this is still a good option. It's just too expensive. I would value this at around £120 mark, 140 at a push, not the 220 that they charge or 250, however much it is now. I'm not 100% sure. You'd actually much rather get a Roger freshie at this point. You'd much rather spend that money. If you really want to spend big on a freshie, you might as well go to Imagination or something like that because you get better performance and ultimately that does matter, especially when you're out in the sun and this just disappears after an hour. You just think, what was the point of that? I did not have time to enjoy it and I'm not the kind to reapply. Would I recommend this scent? Yes, I would if you love green apple. I would also recommend it if you get it maybe at a discounter or in a Facebook group or trade with someone where it's a little bit better value. Let me know what you guys think. Have you smelled this? Do you like it? Do you not? What do you think of its clone? What do you think of clones in general? Do you think it's worth spending more money on freshies, or do you rather save that money, buy a cheap freshie and spend that money on some maybe stronger wintry perfumes? Thank you very much for watching.